Hey, Eric.
And see who was going to break first. Hey, John. How has your vacation been?
Oh, my vacation was pretty good. Pretty darn good. I think I mentioned last week we were going to be on an island, and it was San Juan Island up outside of Seattle, or north of Seattle, I guess. And we it was awesome. We and a couple other families rented a pretty big Airbnb. It was like a log cabin, actually, out on the island. It did not have a great view of the water. There was like a peekaboo or something like that. I think one of the ladies we were with said, like, you know, you could kind of see the sound through the trees out the front a little bit. But it was really nice. It was just, 10 minutes out of town, and it was big enough to, sleep 12 people, and
nice.
Much fun was had by all. We had a great few days. Played a lot of games, did a puzzle. Went and saw. I think we drove not consecutively around the island, but on all the major roads on the island over the course of the 4 days or 5 days we were there. So just got back. Literally, I'm recording from home. Got back about an hour and a half ago, maybe. And the traffic was a nightmare coming home. So,
but I bet.
It's okay. It was going to be a nightmare regardless. The people that we had been, that they caught the ferry before us on the way home, and they cut off at Kelso, crossed the Columbia, and came down 30. And given the fact that I-5 was closed at 405, like literally I-5 South was, all lanes of I-5 were closed. Traffic was but that's okay. I'm home. It's all good. I literally was I had a story in, and my wife was reading, and the boys were doing whatever the boys were doing, like reading or playing games in the back of the car, and just tooling down the road, I guess. But I'll save one of the cool things for my something fun. But we went to a sculpture garden that was really cool. We went to Roach Harbor, which was beautiful, and the weather was just. We had like a bit of rain on a couple of days, but not too shabby. It could have just been socked in and raining the whole time. And we had some gorgeous sunny days. We did not see, technically we saw some orcas through binoculars on the British Columbia side of the strait.
How do you technically see those, but not...
Well, like, here's a flash of a fin. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And,
but I got it.
It wasn't. They have pictures of the orcas, like, literally, 30 feet off the coast where we were at the lighthouse, and that is not where they were. But they were Canadian citizens this week, evidently. Or visitors. Okay. I don't know. But it was awesome. Had a good time.
Nice.
How about you?
I, unlike you, am not at home. I am at Grandma's house. So we, for spring break, took a break, but we drove down to Moab, Utah. So it's in the southeastern corner of Utah. Mm-hmm. And we went to Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park. And
gorgeous.
Dead Horse Point State Park. We did a lot of just kind of
all the state parks
and national parks in that area, and hiked around. Did a lot of hiking, and I have two stories. So the first one, Arches, was fantastic, and it was could be very close. The hikes were not very far to see gorgeous arches, and I had to go look. We talked about, and I have some in my house because I thought they were hilarious. They're the Subpar park posters, the Yelp reviews. And I have the one that's about arches.
4 arches?
4 arches that says, looks nothing like the license plate. Well, I want to tell you, I hiked out the 1.5 miles to the Delicate Arch, and it looks exactly like the license plate. So, like so much like the license plate. And I have hundreds of... between my boy and my wife and I, we took probably 100 pictures, and it was just fantastic. And then
that's awesome.
If I'm honest, Canyonlands National Park was cool because it was like where the Grand Canyon is just immense, and just there is like an enormity to the Grand Canyon. Canyonlands National Park was, I think, more digestible visually. It had the Stark Canyons. You got to see the different striations, strata in the rock. It was very cool. We went up on some mesas and got to look down, and so it was pretty cool. But I will tell you, the better park, if you want that view, the better park to go to is Dead Horse Point State Park. So it's not a national park, so we had to pay a different one. It was a state park, and it was you got a lot closer to the visuals than I felt you did at Canyonlands. Canyonlands was just kind of vast. Okay. Anyway, so there's Dead Horse Point has a very sad story. Don't tell your wife this one. She, as a horse person, she will not like this. But Dead Horse Point is up on a mesa, and it's a peninsula, and it's atop these sheer sandstone cliffs. And there is a portion of it that to get out there that's only 30 feet wide. So you've got like hundreds of feet down all around you, and then this little, they call it the neck, that's about 30 feet wide that you cross to get into the area that you can go see, the canyons, and you see the Colorado River winding around. And the legend for how it got its name, it's apparently under some amount of dispute, but the legend for how it got its name, and I'll read from the state park website. Okay. According to one legend, around the turn of the century, the point was used as a corral for wild mustangs roaming the mesa top. Cowboys rounded up these horses, herded them across the narrow neck of land and onto the point. The neck, which is only 30 yards wide, was then fenced off with branches and brush, and this created a natural corral surrounded by precipitous cliffs straight down on both sides, or on all sides, affording no escape for the horses. So the cowboys could then go in and choose the horses they want, and then and I don't know what these mean, maybe you could inform me, the culls or broomtails go free.
I've never heard of broomtail, but cull is something that you cull out of the herd and would kill or process,
and then
do something else.
Apparently at one time, and this was something they would do regularly to get new horses, they'd corral the wild mustangs. Apparently one time, for some unknown reason, the horses were left corralled on the waterless point where they died of thirst within view of the Colorado River 2,000 feet below. And so that's how it got its name, Dead Horse Point, which is a sad story. But
yeah, but if that was only like 120 yees ago, it doesn't seem like that would be a legend. Wouldn't we have documentation about that?
It's not a legend.
What does Snopes say?
Yeah. So, anyways, it was great fun. We got tons of pictures. It wasn't very hot. It wasn't that crowded. Moab was a pleasant little town. The hotel was very nice. It was kind of expensive. The food was great. We ate at this Mexican place called Giliberto's the first night. And when we were looking, well, should we try someplace else? The second night, my boy was like, can we go back to Giliberto's? It was that good. So we went back awesome. There. So it was great fun was had by all. So that was kind of our vacation, which hopefully we'll wrap up tomorrow as we drive the rest of the way home.
As you go home?
Yep.
Well, I have to say, just speaking of restaurants, I took a picture of the pizza place we ate at because it was called Van Gogh's Pizza. Oh. Spelled wrong. Van Gogh, as in G-O. And I'm like, all right, but that's a little blasphemous, maybe. But, anyway, I thought that was fun. Yeah, I should say we had a great time, but like most things were shut down. Like none of the artist galleries were really open or anything. Like it's island. I'm sure in the summer they're like just swamped with tourists. And it was nice being on the island without a ton of tourists. It was pretty much like locals as far as we could tell. Nobody else really walking around doing touristy type things. But But yeah, like most like touristy things were closed. So, it's okay.
We were able to sneak in right before. So starting April 1st, the national parks switched to timed entries. Because they start to get busy. And we got right into the parks. We never had a problem parking anywhere.
That's very nice.
I would go right before April 1st again to get right into these parks. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, drive safe tomorrow. Hope you make it home.
Yeah.
Intact.
Same.
and sane. All right. But how about a topic tonight?
All right. So my topic, since we basically spent several days in a hotel down in Moab, I stumbled across this one. Black Hat DEF CON, been going on in Vegas. And, people try to do things at Black Hat in Vegas. Maybe they'll actually try to figure out how to do things with the technology that they're currently living with at the hotel. Apparently, in 2022, a group of researchers discovered how to hack the door locks. So, nowadays you just have a little RFID card that you get at the front desk, or your phone, or something that allows you to just touch the door handle and it will unlock for you, right?
Yep.
Well, the article we'll link is a Wired article, but it is basically these researchers figured out that this brand of RFID-based keycard locks is installed on 3 million doors worldwide inside 13,000 properties in 131 different countries.
Wow.
And they figured out how to... They reverse engineered a bunch of stuff. I mean, the article goes into much more detail than I would, but they reverse engineered a bunch of stuff, and they figured out how to tap one card to set a piece up using an exploit, and then tap with a different card that was now set to take over that exploit, and it could unlock the door. And a year ago, after they had figured this out, they actually went to the vendor and said, "Hey, this is happening," and so they tried, with the responsible disclosure stuff, but they have now
wait.
detailed.
So did the vendor fix it?
So so the vendor knows how to fix it, but the fix requires that every hotel that has these cards installed, they need to update the front desk management system, right? So these are systems that probably don't get regular updates. They get installed once, and then you just use this, set the card reader, the card on the card, and it does the room thing, whatever, and it just doesn't really get updated. So the hotels, there's no hardware they have to replace, fortunately. It can all be done with software.
That's nice. Okay.
They just need to update the front desk management system, and then a technician has to carry out a relatively quick reprogramming of each lock door by door. So he has to go, whomever the technician is, has to go door by door, reprogramming each individual door, replace the management system. So they've apparently done that, but you can imagine 3 million hotel room doors in 131 countries. It's going to take a while.
Not all of them have been hit yet.
No. And so the maker of the software, has released the fix, but in their own estimation, only about a third of the world's doors have had the fix applied. So it's lock your doors from the inside when you leave, and don't leave valuables in your hotel room. I don't know what else to say.
Well, yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, what are you going to do? Most hotels have the little safes, I guess, if you have to leave anything there. But, oof. That's a good one. But it's been a year. It was a year that they held it for disclosure. Hardware's hard.
Yeah, so, sitting in a hotel for the last little bit, I was thinking, I wonder if these doors are vulnerable. They haven't. I haven't seen where they've actually released the hack out anywhere on GitHub or anywhere. They've just announced that they've done this and they're working with the vendor. And maybe this will spur the remaining 2/3 of hotel vendors to, or hotel properties to speed up their software upgrades.
Okay. Wow. So 2 years ago in 22, they had the event. Mm-hmm. They found it. They did the disclosure. Was there a talk at DEF CON this year?
Apparently so. That's where
I
think that's where I got the Wired article from.
Okay. Yeah. Long way in the making. All right. That's a good one.
That was fun.
That's a good one. That is fun. So the article I chose today was actually a follow-up to a Krebs article from a couple of weeks ago. But it's a follow-up about a data broker removal service that had been integrated into Mozilla. But then Krebs did one of his exposés and basically said, hey, the founder of this data broker service has actually started multiple data brokers over the course of the last 10 years or so. Including,
he knows how to do that. Then he knows how to.
Ironically, that is exactly the CEO's argument. In fact, I'll jump to the quote.
Sorry.
I get it. Celeste wrote, "My affiliation with the people search business may look odd from the outside. You think?" So, sorry. Back to the quote. "In truth, if I hadn't taken that initial path with a deep dive into how people search sites work, OneRep wouldn't have the best tech and team in the space. Still, I now appreciate that we did not make this more clear in the past, and I'm aiming to do better in the future." Yeah. So, it's
a locksmith who, it's, why are you such a great locksmith? Well, I used to be a burglar. So.
Exactly. Here's the quote. One of the quotes from Krebs is so Firefox dropped them. But here's the quote. "The move comes just days after a report by Krebs on security forced OneRep CEO to admit that he has founded dozens of people search networks over the years." He's a Belarusian CEO and founder. Dmitry Shelest launched dozens of people search services since 2010, including a still active data broker called Nuber that sells background reports on people. And then not only that, but OneRep pays to run ads on a handful here's a quote from Shelest, "a handful of data broker sites in very specific circumstances." So, meaning that they're giving money to run ads on the same sites that they're supposedly removing people from, and like their quote, or his quote, Shelest's quote, is that "Our ad is served once someone has manually completed an opt-out form on their own. The goal is to let them know that if they were exposed on that site, there may be others, and bring awareness to there being a more automated opt-out option, such as OneRep." So there's a quote from Troy Hunt in here, because Mozilla also uses "Have I Been Pwned?" But here, a quote from Troy Hunt was, "The point I made to them was the same as I've made to various companies wanting to put data broker removal ads on Have I Been Pwned. Removing your data from legally operating services has minimal impact, and you can't remove it from the outright illegal ones who are doing the genuine damage." So that's kind of Troy's perspective. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of like trying to bail out, a boat with a cup when gallons of water are pouring in every moment. But
yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worth getting your name out or info out of the legitimate ones. In my 2 cents, but here's some other. I pulled out a couple other things here. Playing both sides, and this is just from the article. creating and spreading the same digital disease that your medicine is designed to treat may be highly unethical and wrong, but in the United States, it's not against the law, nor is collecting and selling data on Americans. Right? So, privacy experts say the problem is that data brokers, people search services like Nuper and OneRep, and online reputation management firms exist because virtually all U.S. states exempt so-called public or government records from consumer privacy laws. So, things like voting registries, property filings, marriage certificates, motor vehicle records, criminal records, court documents, death certificates, professional licenses, bankruptcy filings are all public and can be scraped or retrieved and then enriched using additional information by adding social media data and known associates, et cetera, et cetera. So, if we had stronger privacy laws, there's at least some amount of tooth that could be applied there, but not as it currently sits, at least within the U.S. So anyway, that was my article for the week. Again, well done, Mr. Krebs. And and I guess well done by Mozilla for immediately making a strong move to drop a sketchy partner.
Yep. All right. My something fun today.
Want something fun? All right. Give me something fun.
So my something fun I pulled out because I've been rereading the Stormlight archive, the Stormlight series, and I am now to book 3, an Oathbringer, and I stumbled across on the author Brandon Sanderson's website one of those what's the website that's famous for doing quizzes? I can't remember. Anyways,
not Gizmodo.
No, it's going to drive me crazy now.
BuzzFeed,
that's it. BuzzFeed was popularized. I think it was BuzzFeed anyways, that popularized the online quiz. And anyway, so on Brandon Sanderson's personal website, he's got an official Knights Radiant Order quiz. So you answer a bunch of questions, and it'll tell you what kind of Knights Radiant you are. So if you're into the Stormlight series and you want to see what kind of Radiant you are, and they're great questions, and I tried it probably 3 or 4 times, because it's basically, it gives 2 polls, and it puts the little dial in the middle at 50-50. So like you're 50-50, plays by the rules, breaks the rules, right? Or where are you? And then you kind of slide the slider one direction or another. So if I didn't have a strong opinion, I just left it 50-50. And then the others, I would slide over to, I didn't try, my first time try, I went to 70% or 75% or, 30%, or, I shifted it one way or the other with some, accurate percentage. And I got Lightweaver. And then the second time I went through, I just kind of flung the ones over, and I got the same, top 3. And so really? I did it 3 or 4 times, and I got the same top 3, even though I know my numbers were slightly different each time. But I kept the same general, I didn't answer the opposite of what I did previously. I still did it, but instead of going, 70%, I would do like 100%, or I'd go 60%, or I'd try to give some variety to say, hey, is it going to get me slightly different? And it didn't really. It changed some of the orders of the further down ones, but I apparently am a Lightweaver, and with a Will Shaper or Edge Dancer as my tied for number 2. So if you are a Brandon Sanderson fan, go take the official Knights Radiant Order quiz, which we'll link in the show notes, and see what kind of Radiant you are. Or if you don't care to take quizzes, I'll drop the second link in there too. You can just go read about the 10 different orders of Knights Radiant and what kind of people they are and what kind of things they look forward to. So
I literally just took it. So
I assumed that's what you were doing while I was chatting. So I was going to keep chatting until you stopped.
You could see that I was like doing something. So I'm number 1, an Else Caller with a 53%, and number 2 is a Windrunner at 48, and number 3 is a Stone Ward at 45.
So you had lower percentages than mine. Mine were like 80% and 70% for the other 2. So I skewed heavily towards those, which is probably why taking it again and again didn't change my thing much.
Wait. You said Lightweaver was your number one?
Yes, Lightweaver was my number one. That's Shalon. I am like Shalon, apparently.
You're Shalon. Okay, well, scroll down to the bottom of our notes here, and you can see my scores.
Nice. You're 4% Lightweaver.
like the worst or the lowest.
we're what is it? Opposites get along great. Apparently,
like
so.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no,
okay,
yeah. Well, so you're, let's see, Lightweaver, Edge Dancer. So yeah, my top three were your bottom, third from the bottom, and fifth from the bottom. Or fifth spot. I guess that's the middle.
Will Shaper and Edge
Dancer. Yeah, those were my top three.
But yeah, evidently not.
I think Windrunner was my number 4. So that's because that's Kaladin.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got Windrunner was probably I think 60% on the number 4. So
that's funny.
Anyways, that's awesome. There you go. That was my something fun because I spent a lot of time reading this weekend as well, or this last week on vacation as well. So
what book are you in now? Sorry,
I'm the third book, so I'm 3/4 of the way through Oathbringer.
This is why I can't start those until about maybe 2 months before the.
I know. I think I started them too early.
I think you started a little early, a little eager, which I understand. I'm totally with you. But I should find out when the book is actually due to come out and like take that day off.
Yeah. Schedule it now. I think it is December. It's definitely going to be a Christmas read for me.
A Christmas read.
A holiday read.
Waiting 2 years for a book and then like reading it in like 20 hours and then having to wait another 2 years. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. My something fun. I decided it was probably one of the coolest things we did on the island. Although it was a little podunky museum called the Whale Museum, in Friday Harbor. So Friday Harbor is like the main town on San Juan Island. And it's a pretty small town. I don't know what the population is, but it's a pretty small town. But they have a whale museum in there. And it was started in something like 78 or 79. I don't have it in front of me. But it's all about killer whales, orcas, because the orcas are big up there in the sound, and the Whale Museum has been tracking them since 1979. That's right. So I got that right. So they have 40 years basically of data on whale sightings within the sound, where they are, and then also I wasn't really aware of this. They have congregated. Well, the orcas kind of group themselves into families, and I'm sure you know about pods. Everybody thinks there's pods, but in reality, they stay with their family like practically their entire lives, and sometimes they'll go off and be in like 2s and 3s and 4s, but then they'll come back and so they have they have them lettered in numbers. So there's the J pod, the K pod, and the L pod. And since all the orcas can be identified by their markings, they've got, tons of history about, the specific orcas that have been spotted, who the parents were, who they associate with, et cetera. And so they've got both heartwarming and heartbreaking stories about, the different orcas. And
how long do orcas live?
Oh,
so how many generations have they tracked?
So I want to say that, boy, I'm lying, but I'm trying to remember from what I read. I want to say it's about 90 years, or maybe yeah, it's long. It's long. Like the big whales, like the humpbacks and the blues. I remember they were like over 200 years. Because we watched a bit of, they have the movie playing in, one of the rooms there. And it was all about, sound and noise pollution and the difficulties that really whales have trying to escape the noise of shipping traffic and even worse, the active sonar, and so there are lots of stuff in there. The documentary was frankly a bit horrifying.
Okay, real-time follow-up. Google is your friend. Male orcas live to an average of 30 years, maximum 50 to 60, and females live 46 years on average, maximum of 80 to 90 years.
Okay. And they're matriarchal. The pods. So, anyway, it was really cool. It was really, really enjoyable, very informative. Not big, just basically like, I don't know, 2 floors in a smallish building, but lots of info, lots of good stuff, lots of information. And we really enjoyed it. Wish we could have seen, some of the orcas a little closer, but maybe some other time. Anyway, it was a blast. So there you go. And it literally is whalemuseum.org.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. They must have gotten their website early.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. That was my something fun.
All right.
We had a blast.
Nice. Well, glad you're back from your vacation. I will be back soon from mine, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Sounds good, Eric. Drive safe.
Yep. See you, John.
Bye.